They knocked on the door and I didn't see them in the peephole. And normally I would never open the door if I don't see somebody in the peephole, but it was something where they had to come in. So I open the door, I see like 8 dudes try to push in. So I'm like pushing the door and they're kind of weak, bro, because it took them a while to like push the door. But you know, fear makes you powerful, you know? They're like pushing into the door and then a dude is trying to stab my hand through the door because he got his hand in. So I like slammed the door, he dropped it. We start fighting, they push in. They jumped me a little bit, and then they put a gun to my head, and my daughter was a baby at that time. I had custody of my daughter because they took her from my mother, and I got a gun aimed at me, and she's crawling towards me, and I'm looking at her like, damn, is this how I'm gonna fucking go out? Like, with my daughter right here in front of my daughter?
Welcome back to the Locked In with Ian Bick podcast. On today's episode, I have an exciting one for you. Fellow YouTuber Sose The Ghost is here on the show to reveal his run-ins with the law, joining a 1% biker gang, and how he ended up building a channel that now interviews other 1% bikers. Thank you guys for all the love and support you give us week after week, and I hope you sit back, relax, and get ready to lock in with Sose The Ghost. Sose The Ghost, welcome to Locked In, a fellow YouTuber. Thank you so much for reaching out and coming on the show today. Really excited to get into this interview today, and thank you so much for the merch. We got to shout out your guys' merch. This is awesome. I love this little logo right here.
Yeah, so that's Demons Road Clothing. You could get it on www.demonsroad.com. We have a whole bunch of stuff on there.
Awesome, man. Where are you coming to us from today?
Well, I'm from the Bronx, New York. I live out this way now. The past couple of years, I moved out this way, getting away from all the problems of living in New York for all those years. It was a nice start for me, though, moving out this way because life was rough in New York. As you know, as you probably know, growing up in the Bronx, it's a beautiful place and it's a dangerous place at the same time. So I've seen it all. Like, I've seen it all out there.
Yeah, tell us about growing up in the Bronx. What was that like? Did you have a big family, siblings, parents?
So I was born in Puerto Rico, and my mother and father ran away to have me in Puerto Rico. And they came back when I was 1, so we moved to the Bronx. I lived on Decatur Ave in the Gun Hill area. And it was just me, my sister, my mom, and my father. And our childhood was rough because my father, at an early age, he laid down carpets and he befriended somebody. This is the 80s. He befriended somebody that was using crack. So he started using it. Is it okay if I talk about, drugs and stuff? Because I know YouTube is very hard on drugs and drug talk and stuff like that.
No,
is that fine?
Give us everything raw.
Okay.
We don't edit anything.
Okay.
Share your story. Yeah.
Okay, so my father got addicted to crack and he was out the house pretty quickly. I was about 4 years old when he was gone. And I mean, he was the nicest dude in the world. He never hit me or anything like that. But when he was gone, my mom struggled. So eventually she got with my stepfather and it was an abusive relationship from the start. Like the first day I ever met him, he reprimanded me and I'm 4 years old. I was a good kid at that time. And he got into the drugs himself. The 80s was just drugs. Everybody was into it. And he was just very abusive physically, not sexually or anything like that, but he was abusive and he would hit me for anything. It was just, that's the way I grew up. And I didn't realize how rough it was because everybody I knew growing up in the Bronx, it was you could be hanging out, playing football in front of the building or whatever, and somebody's mom will come and you'll get your ass kicked in front of all your friends. It was a normal thing. Everybody I knew got their ass kicked. So it was I didn't realize it till I started getting older how excessive it was, So my father got locked up when I was 4. I didn't see him again till I was 28. So that's fast forwarding, but my childhood was all without him, So it's I don't know if you can relate to it, but it's you never have that guidance. You never have that mentor to say, don't go this way, go that way. So everything I learned was the hard way, in the street, getting beat up, getting jumped. I didn't stop getting jumped until I bought a 2.5 when I was a kid and actually started to use it. It was that bad. It was always, and it was never a fair one. They would never give you a fair one in the Bronx. Everybody was in some type of gang. So they would like jump you. They would never give you that fair one. So I grew up with that, just that gladiator school mentality, you know? And from a young age, you know, my mom tried. She had me in and out of like Catholic school. Like she would like get some money together. They would put me in a Catholic school. I'd be doing good. But then the next year she couldn't afford it. So I go to public school. And I was just a full blown in class. Like when you're in public school, like when you're the class clown and you're the one making everybody laugh, you're the coolest dude in the class. But when you go to Catholic school and you try the same shit, they look at you like you're the biggest dummy in the world. You know, like I quickly did not fit in, was fighting and everything. And my childhood was shitty. The whole childhood was rough. And around the age of like 13, 14, I started getting into gangs. And I did my first bid at the age of 15. I was we used to rob people all the time, you know what I mean? And we just didn't have anything. So everything we wanted, like, we couldn't ask our mother, like, there's a new bear coat out or whatever. This is dating me. But they had like the bear coats. This is before like North Face was popping. And we had to rob to get the coats. Like we just did a lot of crazy shit, you know, stuff that I look back on now and I don't respect, but I was so young. I didn't know. We just had that mentality, like, we got to do what we got to do to get ahead, you know? So at the age of 15, I caught a robbery charge. Stupid thing we did. We used to call it going shopping. On Friday, we would all get out of school on the block and they'd be like, so what's up? We going shopping? So somebody would start it like, yo, we going shopping? And then we would go to like a school and just rob people. So we called it shopping. Like we would shop for stuff that we wanted. So we did something stupid and we like took some kid's bus pass and they had like $20 or something. And my friend was an aggressor and he beat the kid up. So we got locked up, we got in trouble or whatever. But when you're young, you know, in New York, you don't get locked up right away. You get, you know, like probation or whatever. That's the trap. So that happened about like 14 years old. So I had probation. So around 15 years old, I was getting in trouble in school and my mom was just tired of it. So she called my PO up and got me violated. So when I got violated, I went to Spofford. I don't know if you ever heard of Spofford before.
Yeah, someone I think recently told us about that show.
Bro, Spofford was the it of New York. Like if you were a fuck up and you were young, you went to Spofford. Spofford was where you would go. Spofford was the Rikers Island of when you're a kid. They shut it down. That's how corrupt it was. But now they send you to Rikers Island, C-76. But it wasn't like that. Or C-74, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it. But I didn't go at that time. Back in the days, I went to Spofford. So it was Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. Everybody was separated, Manhattan. So it was just, you walk in there and you shit bricks, bro. Because it's like, everybody, like anybody who knows I was in Spofford, like you couldn't have a belt. You would have to put a string to hold your pants up and stuff like that. It was a wild place. And you're with people there that's there for murder at the age of like 13, 14, you know, and I'm there for a robbery. And you quickly learn like you're not as tough as you think you are, but it starts making you become tougher because you start being around the type of people that are really like that, you know? So I went to Spofford and then I got sentenced to 18 months. And where they sent me was called Lincoln Hall. In New York, they call it DFY, Division for Youth. That's where you go when you get locked up. So I went to Lincoln Hall. I did 18 months there. And now that I look back on it, you look at it as like hardened prison and all that. But as a kid, it seemed like that. But it was really like cottages. It was more like boarding school when you really think about it, because it was different cottages and you would like do school and sports and stuff like that. And yeah, there was a lot of fighting and stuff like that, but it was more of a boarding school. That's what I would call it, you know? And we would get like our visits. Like if you didn't get in trouble once a month, they would have like visits and you could go home like for the weekend or whatever. So it was so fun. Like I remember I had met my first little girlfriend on one of the visits. So I was like so excited to go home. And I remember like Christmases and Thanksgiving where they had this thing called dorm disturbance. And like the way we slept was like, it was 2 long halls of beds. Like there was an A and a B and it was all beds, like a long hall, all beds going down each side. So at nighttime, it was like, when it's lights out, you need to be quiet. So they had this thing called a dorm disturbance. If you have a dorm disturbance, you lose your visit. So I remember I had my boy Santos was so funny that he would always make us laugh. And I remember me, him, and one of my best friends, we lost our Christmas visit and Thanksgiving because we started mouthing off to Mr. O. He was like the CO or the counselor. They call it counselor. They don't call it CO. And it was just a crazy situation because we was all sad because we couldn't go home for Christmas or whatever. But yeah, there was some fun times in there too. I started rapping in there. I had a friend. We would battle in there. It was a lot of fun at times, but then it was stressful too. Being a kid and being locked up, it was rough, you know. But I had a lot of fun in there too. It might sound crazy, but in my neighborhood, like at that age around 13, 14, everybody was getting locked up. So when you would come home, all the girls are like, oh, you was locked up, you looking big or whatever, for whatever a kid looks like when they come home big. But it was like a thrill. And I know I've heard other people in interviews say that before, that like you actually wanted to get locked up, if that made any sense, because it was like you're proving to everybody that you're built like that, which is stupid as hell. But at that time, that's how we were thinking. So I came home from Lincoln Hall. I was 17, and that's when things further started going south because I got into the gang world. My cousin was a Crip, and he was getting picked on by the Bloods. I stepped in and I started banging on them, and it became a thing where like I got labeled before I even joined, before I even got quoted in is what they call it. So I was Grave Street at the time, and that's like, it's a type of Crip. They wear purple. And we got so much into it. We were connected to Watts. Like there was so much that went on with that. But before all that happened, I had got into a big attempt murder case over something that had happened many years ago, over a case because when I got a little bit older, I got into I had an assault. We had hit this police officer. We didn't know he was a police officer, but he was off duty. But they tried to give us, assault on police, but he was off duty, so it didn't stick. It was just an assault too. But yeah, we beat this dude up. He was older. We were kids in a grocery store in the Bronx. And we got probation for that, but now I have adult probation. So it was just like, I never had that mentor to like get me out of situations or put up the bail money. Don't say nothing. Your lawyer's coming or whatever. So since they came to my house and they came to other people's house, everybody's like, yo, who's snitching? Who's snitching? So it turned into a thing where we had like a big shootout. I got shot. And the other person got shot in the face. I got shot in the shoulder. The other person got shot in the face. And it was so much stuff that went on at that time. It was like an ongoing beef. But the crazy thing about that whole beef is that we actually squashed it and shook hands. Like, yo, that's it. We took it too far. And yeah, that's like, you think about it, like, how do you squash, shooting each other and stuff like that? But it got so elevated with family and people in the neighborhood being nervous that it got squashed out. But yeah, it's so much stuff I went through, bro. If I was to like say it, we would be here for hours talking about it, like the stuff that I went through in my childhood. But yeah, that was like one of the craziest situations I went through. And what I say was even worse is but I wound up beating that case because it was like his word against mine and nobody was going to say nothing.
The attempted murder case.
Yeah, the attempted murder case. So I thought I was done. Like the crazy situation that happened with that, when I went into central booking, I got to tell you the story about being shot. So since the first case that I had was assault on police, he was an off-duty police officer. When my mom came here to give me my clothes in the hospital, they didn't give me my clothes because they're like, oh, you're the dude that you hit officer so-and-so, right? Yeah, we didn't get any clothes for you. So I get brought to Central Booking on 161st Street in the Bronx. I'm in a sling because I got shot. I'm in the hospital gown with the ass out and slippers. I'm telling you, these slippers, they're not even slippers. They're the ones that are like the ones that go over your boot. You know how like a nurse will have like those little soft kind of slippers that'll go over your sneaker? So it was
the booties, right?
The booties, yeah. But it doesn't have it doesn't have like a hard bottom that you're supposed to walk on. It's supposed to cover your shoes. So I get dragged into Central Booking looking like a fool. So I'm in there. The first person I see in Central Booking, wait, I'm going too fast. When I get into Central Booking, the CO tells me, so your charges are murder, attempt murder. I'm like, wait, you mean attempt murder, right? And he's like, no, murder. And I'm like, murder? I'm like, you're bugging. And he was like, yeah, the person died. The charges are murder. I'm like, my heart just sunk in. I'm like, my life is over. I ruined my whole life. So I go in the cell, and the first person I see is one of the biggest OGs in our neighborhood, and it's from his block. So I'm like, this is, you can't have a worse scenario. So I'm like here in a sling, in a gown and soft slippers, and this dude is a gangster, you know, like he was the dude that run the town. He was an Irish dude, and he was no joke. Everybody feared him. So when I walked in there, I was just at that point where I was like, if I'm gonna get folded, I want to be standing up. You know what I mean? Let's just get it over with. So I told him, I'm like, you know why I'm here, right? And he was like, nah, what happened? And I was like, the dude from your block, like, I'm not going to say his name. I let him have it. And then I'm expecting it to like jump off. He starts laughing, bro. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why is he laughing? And he's like, yo, he's from 207th. He's not from my block. Just because he hangs out there, I don't give a fuck about that dude. I was like, oh my God. It was such a sigh of relief. So when I actually go into court, my lawyer asked me, when we go into the holding cell, my lawyer asked me, I'm gonna ask you a simple question. Did you do this? Did you shoot this man? And I was like, no, I did not. And I'm not telling you, you know, nothing like that. So he was like, all right. He went in there, he fought hard. I understood everything he said. And when it comes to court, as a kid, I never understood what they were saying. I heard him speak clearly. We was in and out of there, and no lie, in like 5 minutes. I could not believe it. He was like, all right, you can go home now. I'm like, what? I was like, I could go home? He's like, yeah, you can go home now. I guess it was because nobody said nothing. It was his word against mine. It was like a thing where like, he's not saying I shot him. I'm not saying he shot me. So they had to like let it go because they had already let him go. And they were trying to keep me too. But he was like, there's no way you could keep him if you let the other one go. And then they were trying to say, well, if we let the other one go and then we let him go, they're going to see each other again on the street. And they were like, still, that's not fair to my client. So they actually let me out. So I'm like, so I get out and I have to call my mother this is before cell phones and all that. I didn't have a cell phone at this time. So I had to like get him to call my mother. I called my mother and I said, look, Ma, I need to get home from 161st Street. So I must have looked crazy, bro. So think about this. I'm in the courtroom. I'm walking out now in a gown and slippers. Like the back is like, I'm trying to hold the back, but I'm in a sling. And it's cold that day, and I walk out and I jump in the cab because she was just like, jump in any cab and take it to the crib. I must have looked so crazy that day, bro. I stepped into the cab and went home, and you know, I wound up beating that case, and I just wound up continuing getting in trouble, selling drugs. I got into music, and I got really big with the music at the time. I was like, at that time, mixtapes were big, and there was this store called Bronx Entertainment. And in Bronx Entertainment, I didn't know this at the time, but they were like one of the main distributors for like DJ Clue, K Slay. It was one of the hubs of hip hop, and I didn't know that. So I just played a song for the dude that owned the store. I said, just tell me if it's good or if it sucks, if I should just stop. And I played it for him, and he liked it, and he would like give it to DJs, and they started playing the shit. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? So I started doing music, and every week I started getting on mixtapes. I got this whole big thing of mixtapes that I was on. And yeah, little by little, different DJs and K Slay started playing me. And then I started getting played on the radio by DJ Camilo. So I started to get some traction. So I had people talking to me about deals. So I had these Dominican drug dealers from Washington Heights come up to me. And I made a bad choice. I picked the drug dealers as the ones that would manage me instead of some of the DJs that were trying to get me into labels and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, bro, these dudes showed me a life that I never seen. Like we go, like this is the funniest shit. Like these dudes are like, they're hood drug dealers, but they have a lot of money. So they're like, we're eating like Chinese food, but like drinking champagne. Like we're drinking Moet, eating Chinese food. Like you can't make this shit up. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like you're drinking wine with like food, and yeah, that's how we do with daddy. That's the way they used to talk. They used to always say daddy. I always thought that was so weird to me. But yeah, so they would bring us to clubs all the time, and they VIP, and we're just having bottles, having the time of our life. So it was just like, it was such a crazy time that I started to fall off with the music a little bit, because before that it was grind. It was go to the studio, do something for this DJ, that DJ or whatever. And they winded up buying the store, Bronx Entertainment, and running it down to the ground. Had a little fallout with them, and I wanted to get out of it. And we had like a little altercation where I had to like strong arm a little bit to get out of it. And I wound up falling off completely. And with music, you got to get, I'm sure you know, as like with YouTube, you got to get hot to have any traction. So I got cold. And then when that happened, things really started to dip. And then the mixtape era started to end. It started going more digital, you know? And at that time, I started to hustle, you know, because I wanted to be able to still do the music, but it's expensive for studios and all that. And like getting a job in New York was like, it was always the hardest thing to do. Like I remember a time, me and one of my homies, we used to always try to look at the newspaper, the Daily News, and try to look for a job. And every time, bro, it doesn't matter what the sign said, we would go down to Manhattan, dress up nice and everything, and it would be selling toys. Like actually hand to hand in the street. Like they give you a suitcase, and you walk around asking people if they want to buy toys. I remember one time we did it so many times in a row, I started to give up. Like, yo, bro, this job shit is trash. Like, I don't want to do this. He was like, yo, this one says management positions open or whatever. So we go down, and I was like, yo, bro, this is the last time I'm going to do this. So we go down, we're in Manhattan, and we go into the office, and the guy says, oh, you two are together? And we're like, yeah. And he says, you could do your interview together. We should have knew that something was off. This dude tells us, like, so we're looking for managers in the company. We want to take it to the next level. And you guys really look like you could handle this job. And I'm like, yeah, so what is it about? He pulls out the suitcase with the toys. So I just cracked a little laugh. You know when you're in a situation where it's like, you got to be professional. And I just cracked that little laugh out. And we started laughing so hard that we could not stop. And the dude asked us, he was like, are you guys high? Like he was legit. And we had tears in our eyes, and we just left. It was a funny experience. But that was like jobs for me was like, I always felt like working a regular job was too normie for me. Like it never felt right working a job for someone else. I know you got to do it to start off, but even to this day, like doing the YouTube, like I couldn't imagine just working a regular job, you know? But
yeah, that's why I left my regular job.
Yeah.
When you get that taste of, being an entrepreneur like your whole life, or in your case it was like on the streets and whatnot, that's similar, being on the streets is similar to kind of being an entrepreneur in a way.
Yeah.
And it's hard to go work for someone else.
I think that first time hearing myself on Hot 97 changed my life, because when DJ Camilo, he was playing it at like 1 a.m, when he had, because, everything is paid for on the radio. But, when they have those shows, like the DJ shows late at night, he would play it, and I would walk around and people would be like, yo, I heard you on the radio. Like, what the fuck? Like, and I think that little taste of that little fame or that drug was like, I can't be a normie after this. Like I always chase that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Was it, do you think that looking back on it now, like the bullying and getting jumped and whatnot back in your early days, if that never would have happened, do you think you would have gone through any of the stuff you went through?
If I didn't go through the bullying and the stuff like that, I would have been a square, like straight up square. Like I was meant to be like just a really good kid. Like I'm naturally laid back or whatever. I was meant to be that, and the streets just refuse to allow that to happen, So what
if you were born in a city, like say in Connecticut? Do you think you'd have a different life?
I would be super soft, like softer than this cushion right here.
So do you believe in that you could be born into an area that you have no choice about and it shapes your life forever?
Yeah, you're a product of your environment, definitely. Yeah, if you had a softer environment, you're just naturally going to be a softer dude, you know? It took me a while to rub the stink of New York off me too, because like I would come up here to Connecticut and go to like club events and stuff, and like somebody would say something and right away I was like, what? Like, you know, New York is fast, you know? So if somebody says what and you like you respond in any kind of way, it's like action right away. So I like they had to tell me like, yo, calm down. It's not like that out here. Like chill. You know, and it wasn't me trying to be tough. It was a defense mechanism. Cause I'm not like, I don't respect bullying or anything like that because I went through it, you know? So it was just a defense mechanism, like a PTSD almost. That's like what they call it nowadays, right? Like PTSD or something like that.
Yeah, I mean childhood trauma and going back to your early days and stuff, and how much your childhood really shapes the path you went down.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah. You know, they say, I don't know if you've ever heard it before, but they say your programming is from a baby to the age of 7 is like your hardwiring. So it's like you just function off that. And that's why people have a lot of problems, because they need to be reprogrammed. You ever heard that saying before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you're in tune with that. Yeah.
And they say like your mind hasn't developed until your 20s or something. Your brain hasn't fully developed. You're still a kid up until that point.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Why couldn't you visit your dad? I know you said you hadn't seen him.
My mother just
wouldn't allow
cut him off. Yeah.
Okay.
He would in the tail end, he would like sell all her stuff, because you know crack was like that kind of addiction where you would like sell anything, you know? So he would sell her furniture. She came home one time, all the furniture was gone. Crazy shit, you know? He just lost his soul, you know?
Do you think if you were able to visit him, that would have helped, or it wouldn't have made a difference in your life?
I think it would have helped.
Just to have
I never thought about that.
Yeah,
you're the first person to ever ask me that.
Just to have that father figure.
Yeah, that would have helped. I always thought that one day he would come home and like beat the shit out of my stepfather for like hitting me so much when I was little. Because I was real little when I started getting hit, like 4 or 5. So I always thought that. And I used to watch like wrestling when I was little. I used to like Hulk Hogan. And I used to like Hulk Hogan so much because I felt like Hulk Hogan would like, if he saw it, he would do something about it. Like I always thought that when I was a kid, like Hulk Hogan wouldn't let that happen.
Did you feel kind of let down by someone you looked up to when that wasn't the case?
It's weird because I never resented him. I don't know why, but I never hated my father. I never like held resentment. Like now he's home, my sister takes care of him, and I don't even really go see him. But I'm not hot or cold. I'm not like angry at him. I don't stay away on purpose. It's just he doesn't speak English. He speaks Spanish, and my Spanish is not good because I'm Puerto Rican. So I wasn't taught it though. You know, I came to New York when I was 1. And for some reason, my mother just spoke a lot of English to me, you know? And one thing I didn't tell you, too, is that I was taken out the home for getting beat by my stepfather, by my grandmother. My grandmother is the one that really raised me and loved me. You know, my mother was always into it with my stepfather and stuff like that. So it was just like, it was never a loving environment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you stop getting like arrested and sent to prison?
I came home in 2008 from Gowanda. So, yeah, it's been a while.
And you moved to Connecticut right after that? Or
No, I moved to Connecticut maybe like 4 years ago.
Oh,
like
this is more recent. So did you get involved in the whole biker club in New York? Or
yeah. I was in clubs in New York, and then I switched to the chapter up here when I moved up here. Yeah, I was in Connecticut and New York.
So how did you switch from street gang life, gang affiliation, to joining a biker club? Because those are two very different things, right?
Yeah, so when I was Crip for like 12 years, and I had a home invasion by some people that were in another chapter of the same set. So they were Grave Street too, but they were another chapter. And there was some issues because my cousin lent the gun to somebody and the person didn't give it back. So we went through his house to retrieve it, but we weren't going there to beat him up because he was somebody that was in the inner circle, but he thought we were. So they retaliated on me. I had a home invasion. I almost didn't make it. I don't know why they didn't pull the trigger, but they didn't for whatever reason, you know.
Wait,
And
they home invaded you?
yeah,
Oh, you got to tell us this story.
yeah. So that happened. I've spoke about it on my channel a lot, but yeah, definitely.
Plug your channel too.
Yeah, so my channel is Demons Row. I have 2 channels. I have Demons Row and I have Sose The Ghost. I actually have one, Demons and Outlaws. I talk about politics, but I haven't been dropping on as much. But Demons Row is the main channel, and then Sose The Ghost is where I'm going to be releasing music and stuff. But I have like 72K subs on there, something like that. Like I post not as consistent, but Demons Row is the bread and butter. Like that's the business, you know?
Yeah, it's almost at 1 million, right? It's at 500 something.
580 something.
Yeah, so it's not some nonchalant channel we're telling people to check out. You got the real deal over there.
Yeah. So with the home invasion, my cousin was a person that always created the issues. He's actually the same person that was the reason why we had all the issues as a kid. He beat up this kid, Peniel, from our neighborhood. His brother was in this gang called KFH, and we ran for years because of it, because they were deep. Every time we turned the corner, it's like, yo, that's them right there. It was like 30 dudes trying to catch you or whatever, and that was because of him. So fast forward now, he's the one who caused the issue where I had the home invasion because, so like I said, he lent the gun or whatever. The dude didn't give it back. And there was a lot of shit talking back and forth between him and another set of grapes that I was cool with. And I had no clue that they would retaliate on me. I had to push in home invasion over the fact like they wanted to retaliate towards him. And yeah, I had a gun in my face, everything. Like it was crazy, like, because that day I was supposed to have something fixed. And they knocked on the door and I didn't see them in the peephole. And normally I would never open the door if I don't see somebody in the peephole, but it was something where they had to come in. So I open the door, I see like 8 dudes try to push in. So I'm like pushing the door, and they're kind of weak, bro, because it took them a while to like push the door. But you know, fear makes you powerful, you know? So they're like pushing into the door, and then a dude is trying to stab my hand through the door because he got his hand in. So I like slammed the door, he dropped it. We start fighting, they push in, they jump me a little bit, and then they put a gun to my head. And my daughter was a baby at that time. I had custody of my daughter because they took her from my mother. Her mother was like always in some shit. So I had custody of my daughter. So my daughter's crawling. She's like, I don't know, like 2 or 3, something like that. And I got a gun aimed at me, and she's crawling towards me. And I'm looking at her like, damn, is this how I'm gonna fucking go out? Like with my daughter right here in front of my daughter? And like for some reason they didn't pull the trigger, they ran. And after that it was so eye-opening. Like I would say like I've been shot before and I thought I was Superman after that, but the home invasion was mental. Like they got in my head, you know. It was like we can come inside your place of like, you know, peace or whatever. So that after that, I like couldn't trust nobody. So for a couple years, I was like kind of flying solo because I didn't like the way the people in my corner reacted. I felt like they folded a little bit. Like they were like scared to retaliate in some form or fashion. That's what I kind of felt like. And I couldn't trust anybody anymore. Like after you have a home invasion, it's hard to trust people. So that time went by for a little while. And a friend of mine's, Arson, a good friend of mine, was he was in a car club, auto club, the Click. And shout to the Click, shout to Phil and all of them. They're still active in Brooklyn. He was like, yo, why don't you join this? It's like you get that family feeling, but it's not no gang shit, you know? And I was like, I don't know, you know? And I liked it. I took a liking to it. I got into it. And then I wound up becoming, you know, the MC portion of it, riding with them and stuff like that. And then eventually I started getting into the Outlaw shit. You know, I got into TR and I was with them for a lot of years, you know, and that's where I gained a lot of the knowledge, you know, throughout the years. But when we were in the Click, we were under the Unknown Bikers, which is a 1% club out there. So I learned a lot under them. And then like, it's just gone to like, there's so many different clubs that I've got around now on Demons Row. Like I've sat down with the Mongols, the Vagos, like in California, you know, the Chosen Few. I've sat down with the Thunder Guards. There's like all these clubs, and like you got to do like, I don't know if you ever heard of Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson is famous for like just sitting down with the Hells Angels, right? Like doing one interview with them and hanging out with them for a couple of weeks. I've hung out with I've gone to Halloween here in Connecticut. Like when I was in TR, I've gone to their events, and not being in the club, I've gone to events with the Mongols, the Vagos, the Pagans. I got sit downs with all these clubs, like way more clubs I've sat down with. Like literally, if you look it up in the history of like MC culture, I've sat down with more outlaws than anybody ever in existence, like on Demon's Row. Like even down to the Outlaws, I got interviews with them. Like I got interviews with like so many different clubs. But I also got I also have interviews with like Christian clubs. I have like indigenous clubs, everything, like it's a wide spectrum,
What makes a club a club? Like, can I like go and get a bike and say I have a club now, or are there rules to it? How does this work?
See, there's rules to it because a lot of the diamond clubs, like the 1% clubs, if you're just riding with some buddies, then nothing will really happen. But if you start wearing an emblem and they see you a lot, they're going to approach you, depending on what you're wearing. If you just start putting patches on your vest or you put a state or something like that, then you got real problems, because a lot of people look at it like, I'm from New York, so I'm going to wear New York on the bottom. And they don't realize like wearing that is like saying like, this is my territory. And it doesn't seem like that to the average person. They won't look at it that way. But to the outlaws, you don't wear that unless you put time in and you're ready to back that up,
And can you describe what an outlaw is? It's a name of a club too, right? But isn't there like a definition?
So there's Outlaws MC, and then there's an outlaw. Like an outlaw is any club so outlaw clubs are basically like, there's 1% clubs, they're all outlaws too. But outlaw clubs is basically like you don't follow any like COC rules or whatever. And a lot of times you're a support club of a bigger diamond club, of a bigger 1% club, or you're just like an old school club that doesn't follow any rules and you wear the state, that some wear the city too, but wearing a state is like outlaw stuff. It means, listen, this is our territory,
Can you explain the structure of these clubs too? I know like they have a president, a vice president, even a treasurer in some cases. Yeah. They're very well structured.
Yeah, so it all started from military. So they have that military structure, president, vice president, sergeant of arms. Some have enforcer or sergeant of arms at the same position. You have secretary, treasurer, road captain. And the structure is good, but sometimes it makes it very political because it makes it more about, I want this position, I want that position, instead of everybody being the same and looking at each other as a brother. Some clubs do it right, but it's just hard. There's a lot of politics involved with those positions because you know how men are. Men want to be the king of the jungle. You want to be the man, so a lot of people backbite and talk bad about each other to get a higher position.
Now, is there violence like within these clubs, within their own rankings?
Yeah, like I did a video talking about this, and like you have people that have rivals, like rival clubs, and you have issues with them. But then you have a lot of clubs that just beat up their own brothers for weird stuff. And their rivals might do something to them. They don't do nothing to the rival. But their brother in their club, he does one stupid thing and they're like kicking his ass or whatever, So yeah, there's violence.
They jump them at the meetings, right?
Yeah, like they do stuff like that, or kick them out or stuff like that, just because they don't like certain things. There's a out bad status too that clubs will give you, and it used to be like you ratted on somebody, you slept with somebody's old lady, that type of stuff, like something very serious. You stole money, but now if upper management doesn't like you, he's out bad, don't talk to him. In MC culture, out bad, no clubs are supposed to talk to you. But it got so watered down, like the next club will just take you in the club because they don't even respect that club's out bad, Just depends on the club too,
What are the differences between Crip gang life and joining a motorcycle club?
I say that Crips are more in neighborhoods that are like populated with a lot of people. They're outside. You feel their presence. Bikers to me are more like in a warehouse area, their clubhouse, depending because, there's some clubhouses like the dirty ones in Brooklyn or like right there under the train or whatever in the neighborhood. But mostly bikers are in leave me alone areas, Like what would you call that? Like more like commercial areas?
Yeah, residential or no, not residential.
Not where
commercial.
Houses are, more where businesses are.
Yeah, I guess commercial.
Like some warehouse somewhere or whatever. They're more on the low somewhere. Bloods and Crips are active. You see them outside, you see them at places. But it depends because like in California, the Mongols, the Vagos, they're at the events, you know, like they're involved with all layers of the culture out there. So it just depends on where you live, you know?
How did the Crips feel about you joining a motorcycle club?
Well, I was already out of the club. I was already out of the set for years, you know. And I had big homie status. I had my own chapters in Jersey, Connecticut, and in the Bronx. So I just left. I walked away from it. You know, I was just like, I'm done. You know, I just can't trust nobody no more. You know.
Wait, what's big homie status? I thought that was just like a nickname. Like
big homie is like G status. Like you have the big homie is like you have the status to bless people in, and you know you could say, oh, you got 5 people in Massachusetts. All right, we're gonna start a chapter out there. You have the status to be able to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how long have you been? You're still in a motorcycle club now?
No, I'm out.
You're
now
out
I'm just doing
completely.
Demons Row. Yeah.
Now you just do that. Why did you decide to leave the clubs?
My mentor got ran out, got put out bad, and I didn't like the way things were going, the direction of the club, and like Demons Row started to blow up, and it was like I wanted to do more things, and it was like I felt like it was a conflict of interest, you know, with the club and just the direction of it, where they were going, like the upper management, where they were going with the club. I just didn't agree with it, so I stepped off.
So are motorcycle clubs legal or illegal? How does that work with law enforcement?
Nah, they're legal. They're legal.
Is it just the activities that these like gang, like is the Crip gang, is that illegal or legal? Like, is it legal to be in a gang? What's the legality?
I mean, it's not against the law to be in a gang, because if you're just walking down the street and you have a blue flag hanging out your back pocket, you can't just get arrested for that unless you're in California and they have gang injunction, where if there's like 3 or more of you and you got the same color, they lock you up. They do that. But there's certain areas where that could happen, but not where I was at in the Bronx. It wasn't like that, you know? It was just they had to catch you committing some type of crime. I think they look at it like it's low-level crime and they don't care about the victims, you know? If it's Bloods and Crips, it's a bunch of younger kids that if they want to do something to each other, let them do it, you know? That's how I think the police feel about it, you know?
Like in prison, we hear like prison gangs and whatnot, they have rules that are kind of unique to individuals that have never been in these types of groups. What were like some of the rules in these biker clubs?
Like in what way? Like in
like
reference to what?
Like rules you had to abide by as a member.
So if you're in an outlaw club, you have to abide by, you know, you have to pay your dues monthly, whatever it is, if it's $50, $100 or whatever. And basically, like, you sign up for only respecting the laws of your club, not any other, like, government man-made law. If your club needs you, you roll out. But, like, as far as, like, you know, like, there was no, as far as rules, I mean, you can't mess with anyone's old lady. Old lady is like their wife or their girlfriend. They wear a property of patch. Can't sleep with somebody's old lady. What else? There's a certain amount of events that you have to go to a year. You got to be on your bike for a lot of things. You know, even when it's cold, sometimes you don't want to ride. They want you to ride. And, you know, if you're in a national club, if there's events going on like in Florida or North Carolina and you got something going on, sometimes they don't understand that you have to work. Some clubs do, and they're good about it, but some clubs are like, you got to make it out more. And then other clubs are like, if you don't make it, you're getting beat up. You know what I mean? You're out, you know? Like some clubs are like that, you know?
The money for the dues, where does that go? Do they have like a bank account?
Yeah, they have like a kitty. And most times presidents and the upper cabinet just pocket the money. It's not like it gets distributed. A lot of people think it's like the mafia, like you sit down and you're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And I'm not saying that every club is like this, because some clubs somewhere are probably like having businesses and stuff like that. But from what I've seen, it's not like that. It's higher ups pocketing some money here and there and living good, and then other people are just paying dues. And it's just, I don't know. If it was more mafia-like, I'd still be involved with it, because I was always down for like, let's talk about money. And it didn't even have to be illegal. It's like, if we're having this kitty, what are we doing with this kitty? Are we opening a business? Like, you know, a fly studio like locked in. Why can't we do something like that? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah. Like,
And none of the crews were like that. They was just all about
too busy
individual.
arguing about this one and that one, political stuff.
And so do they file any like paperwork with the state as like a club or anything? Is there?
Yeah, clubs do that. Like the Hells Angels have sued famous people like Chris Brown and all that. Like clubs, they're copyrighted. They can sue you, you know?
Now, are you familiar with the Hells Angels? Like,
Yeah.
You're very knowledgeable about that?
Yeah.
So many people, I think when they hear biker clubs, that's the main one that they associate
Yeah,
with.
because of the movies and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Well, can you tell us about like the Hells Angels? We have a lot of listeners of people that are new to like this life and whatnot.
In what form of fashion though? Like what about them?
Just like who exactly are they and how they are portrayed in the world versus like what they actually are, and maybe some misconceptions.
I think a big misconception is that they're racist, because I know Puerto Rican presidents in the Hells Angels. Like I know they're all over the world in different races, and you know, Thailand and places like that, you know. So I think that's one of the big misconceptions because of the California prison politics. They're not allowed to have certain races in the club. So they think that, a lot of people think that they're racist. I'm not saying that there ain't places somewhere where some of the members are, because, you know, that's a give or take where you live, what type of people are in the club. They might be racist, but it's not the whole club itself that's racist. But I've been to events on the East Coast with them, and we've even had like tensions with them when I was in TR and stuff like that. But just regular dudes that work and stuff like that, I wouldn't compare it to like some mafia type stuff, like how they try to portray it out. It's just a lot of dudes that just ride and they keep it close. A lot of the stuff that happens is there's support clubs that do it for them, you know what I mean? So a lot of people think that it's them who actually will slam the hammer down on you, but a lot of times it's a support club.
How hard is it to get into the Hells Angels? Can anyone just get into it?
I think it's the hardest one to get into. I mean, the Outlaws too are very rough to get into, but yeah, it's a long time because they've had RICO cases over the years and all that, so they don't know who's coming in and stuff like that. So it's not easy to get into 81. I can say that.
I see it like in a lot of movies and TV shows. A lot of these bikers are portrayed predominantly white. Is it more diverse nowadays?
Way more diverse than that. There's a whole black set, you know. You got clubs like the Thunder Guards and the Outcasts and Wheels of Soul and all these clubs like that. I mean, Chosen Few is like, they used to hang out with, Sonny Barger used to hang out with the East Bay Dragons. They're deep out there in California and all that. There's a black set and a white set. It is kind of divided, like racially. But that, I think a lot of that stems from the prison politics of California, you know?
Do you know much about the prison politics with bikers?
Yeah, I do.
I
spent a lot of time out there, yeah. It's because the Mexicans run so much out there that like everybody has to like fall to their race or they'll just get devoured out there, you know? So people, and also like clubs have tried to do it and there's been a lot of death because it's like they control the prison so much that like, let's say you say, I'm just going to go for my club members and not race. Your cousin goes in there, your brother goes in there, he'll get stabbed, you know? So it's not like the East Coast where you could just do a bid and you know, hang out with whoever you want. It's really controlled by race out there.
Is it mostly just state prisons that bikers have presence? Because when I was in the feds, it was like driven by cars, like what state you're from.
Yeah. Well, when I was locked up in Gowanda, there was no biker stuff at all. It was Bloods, Crips, Trinitarios, Latin Kings. It was none of the biker stuff. I mean, maybe they had that going on, but they were very quiet if they did. And it's not like they were quiet, like hiding it, but it wasn't like a factor, you know? The gangs run the show, you know? They're the ones that control the food and, you know, what happens in the yard and stuff like that. They're the ones that run the show. Was it like that in the feds too?
It just had to do. Well, I was at a lower security and like the holdover units. It was more, you know, like you ride where your state is from, and New York had the biggest following because that was basically where I was at.
Yeah.
I was in New Jersey and New York, so New York had the predominant following. They all rode together, and then there was like the head, which they called, I guess, like the shot caller, I guess you could call it. But no one was like hurting each other. It wasn't like violent. You know, people would get smacked around like if someone messed up or thrown out. But then when I was in Oklahoma City, that was very like Spanish gang, like that type of like cartel groups of individuals, because I was closer to like Texas and down there. And those guys were all awaiting transport to those Texas prisons from Oklahoma. So that's when it gets more, a little more dicey.
So did you do any state time? Because I never did Fed time.
Never did state time. Yeah, it's interesting hearing like the differences.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Fed time. Was it like did you guys have like cable and stuff like that?
No, so that's one of the big, well, there was cable but not the individual TVs.
Oh.
So there would be like TV rooms where you would bring your chair. Every inmate's assigned a plastic chair. So there would be these empty TV rooms, like the size of like the room out there, and there would be like 5 TVs, one dedicated to news, one dedicated to like pop culture, one for movies and whatnot. And then everyone would have like an imaginary assigned space that they claimed. So like if you're the new guy on the block, and I learned this after sitting in someone's like space the wrong way.
I did that in Rikers.
Yeah, you kind of have to wait for the room to flow, because at different times of the day, like at 6 p.m., that room's filled, but everyone has like this imaginary space like assigned to them. It's wild.
When I was in Rikers Island, and this is before I was like Crip or anything, I was in a blood house, and when you walk in, there's the bubble, and then it's just like it's like a U, and it's like 2 floors in Rikers, and the seats are all here, and there's like one TV, and I went to sit down, and the blood was like, yo, you sit in my seat, and I'm like, all right, and I just got up, because I knew like they were kind of like formed up, and he was like, listen, over here, there's certain assigned seats and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck is this, bro? As many times as I got locked up, I always felt like all the shit did not make sense. It was nutty as fuck, you know? But when you're in there, it is what it is, you know? But they controlled in Rikers, whoever's the big homie of whatever gang is running that floor, they control the food. They would starve people out, or just get them out of there right away if they were like a Crip or whatever, or another gang or whatever, or vice versa, if it's a Crip house or whatever. But I went there, luckily I went there before I was banging, because I was Crip. It would have been rough going to Rikers, like after when I was Crip. But Rikers is one of the most dangerous places I ever been in my life. Like, that shit was just weird. Like, they let the inmates run the asylum there. Like, the COs stay in the bubble, and the gang runs the floor. Like, that's how Rikers runs.
Really? We just had a CO that went viral on it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was this clip I posted, 14 million views on TikTok.
Nice.
CO from Rikers. His name was Leroy Ebron, and he did 22 years working the Bing over there. And just like the stories from there are crazy.
They used to be COs that was blood too. So they would get a Crip, and then they would tell them, yo, he's a Crip. Set him up, boom, boom, boom. He gets stabbed up. He's out of there. Like, the COs would bang on the inmates too. It was crazy. I don't know how that place is still open, the way they ran it.
Aren't they shutting it down or something like that?
I don't know, are they?
I think so. I think like it's phased out over multiple years, but then where do they put all the inmates? I don't know. Like, I know it's like every mayor that goes in always says they're like shutting it down.
I mean, each borough has its own county. Like, in the Bronx, we had the boat. It's a big barge, and it's on the water, and that's where you go to county. Like, that's basically the county for the Bronx. It's crazy because you like kind of like rocking sometimes. It's crazy because when I was on the boat, we're just like playing cards, and it's just like nobody's really banging like that. And then as soon as you go to Rikers, it's like hostile. You know, like people are just like, where you from? What you claiming? As soon as you walk in the house, like it's so on 10. Like, it was such a crazy. I felt like such a dummy. Did you feel like a dummy being locked up?
Yeah, you don't really know what's going on, and you're kind of out of place. I was out of place.
I remember one time when I was in Gowanda, we were in ASAT, and that's a drug program that they make you do if you have a drug charge, because I was hustling. One day, there was this dude, I was taking like some allergy medication that made me like super sleepy. So he used to be like, yo, what's up, sleepy? Like, joking around. So one day he was reading, and he was just stuttering like crazy. And I was like, yo, bro, he said something to me like, "Oh, sleepy, man, sleep. Yo, was sleeping." And then I was like, "Bro, you can't even read." Yo, everybody looked at me like I was the worst oppressor in the world. They were like, "Yo, how could you say that?" And I'm like, "He can't read." And they were like, "Yo, I can't read either. I can't read either. I can't read." I was like, "Bro, y'all didn't get past the 3rd grade? Like, seriously? Y'all, nobody in here could read." And they were like, "Yo, for real, none of us could read." I'm like, "Yo, this shit crazy, bro." I said, "I got to get the fuck out of here. Like, this shit is for dummies. Like, nobody could read, bro. Like, literally couldn't read." I'm like, "That's crazy. Like, what happened? You know, like, where did the school system fail y'all? You know what I mean? I knew how to read at least by, like, 2nd grade or 1st grade. Like, y'all don't know how to read as an adult? Like, that was crazy to me." And they was upset at me about that, too. They really were like, "Yo, I really try and I can't." I'm like, "I don't think you tried that hard, bro."
Yeah, you look at a lot of the people that got locked up young too, like some of these kingpins that got like 20 or 30 years in the feds that are getting out that couldn't read or write, right? Or got locked up in that era where it's not the norm to be, unique. Who's on YouTube, he got locked up and he couldn't read or write. He learned how to do it in prison. It's just crazy when you think about it. Like, people live like that, and that's a real thing in the world.
That's crazy, bro.
So what made you go from, I mean, you've had quite a life. You went from a Crip gang banger to, a biker, and then to starting your own channel with this passion about bike clubs.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Did you just like wake up one day and was like, I want to do this?
It's crazy. You might not believe this, but I was always like a negative person, and that's why I think that I was manifested negativity. And I saw this thing on YouTube one day. This is why I love YouTube. I saw this thing on YouTube one day, and this dude was like, the thing I was telling you earlier, like, your first, from a baby to the age of 7 is your hardwiring. And if you've had a rough life and you always look at things negatively, you need to reprogram yourself. So I started to sleep with like subliminal affirmations with rain, like rain sounds. And like at first I was having like nightmares and dealing with a lot. And then a couple months later, I like started doing Demons Row. It's crazy. Like my whole mindset started to change. I started to reprogram myself, So I think we're just programmed to like think things are not going to work out, and I had that just negative stigma with me for so many years. And then once I stopped thinking like that, things got clear. And I was like, I just always wanted to do something fun, like I feel like, I don't know how, I think you have to agree with this because you're doing it yourself. I feel like if you're not creating, you're not living. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
You're building legacy. I mean, I look at these YouTube videos, they sit on there forever.
Yeah.
Like, they literally sit on there forever, like from years from now. Like, I'm in, or years, and my grandkids or whatever could be watching. I mean, look at the original creators of YouTube.
Yeah.
Those videos are still up there.
I know, it's like crazy, right?
The first few creators that have put stuff out. Like, I remember me and my friend used to watch like firework videos and like how to fix shit on YouTube. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just incredible to think about.
I was just talking with somebody about that today because in the gym, I'm on the tread, like an elliptical or whatever, and they had Bodyguard on with Whitney Houston. And I was like, yo, it's kind of crazy. Like, she's dead, but she's still here though, And like now with YouTube, you don't have to be a Hollywood star to have that, And I argue that this is the space where it's going to dominate the future. Like, I think movies are in trouble. I think TV is dead. Like, people don't watch TV like that no more. Like, honestly, we got videos that get better ratings than a lot of TV shows out there, believe it or not. Like, a lot of TV shows are struggling.
And views. We get better views, and the cost is down.
Yeah.
Like, I love the creators that are able to just do it with a webcam, because I envy them, because I'm like, wow, like JD, who we were talking about, great guy. He's able to just do it with a webcam and a camera. I wish I could do that, but that works for some people.
But think about what you're doing. You're not... Like, a lot of people like to default to Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beast is like, I'll give you $1 million if you do that, but we could sit here and make a living and just talk. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing, bro.
Yeah, just
if you really think about it.
Connecting with people, putting it out, and it's fun. Like, I feel like it's a challenge. Every video you edit, every clip you make, having conversations. Yeah. And it's relaxing. And this is like a comfortable spot. You just come in, chill, and talk, And And I one day I'll be able to do this like full time. Like I have a business I'm building too, like with editing and stuff. But hopefully one day I could pass that to someone so I could just do this because this is what I like. You know, talking to someone, getting to know someone, seeing other creators, helping other creators. Because when I was growing up, everyone always wanted something. Like knowledge was cost something.
Yeah.
That's why I don't believe in these whole like bullshit programs you see on the internet where they try to sell you a program for like $1,000.
Yeah.
You could literally YouTube that same thing for free if you took the effort to do that.
I did that with some dude. I forgot his name. Something Benjamin or something like that. It was like $300. And I was learning so much from his YouTube channel that I'm like, yo, this dude is dropping too much bombs. Maybe I should just like see what his mentor program. It was cheap. It was like $350. And it was like little 2-minute videos. I'm like, oh my God, like he's giving more knowledge and what he would do is he would tell me, cause like, you know, we have a lot of little clips that go viral. Mm-hmm. So he's like, he'll look at one of my clips that have high views and be like, you need to do another one like this. Like, really, motherfucker, this is what I'm paying you for? To tell me that I should do another video that got mad views? Yeah. I get it, bro. But you're supposed to give me some, like, you know? But I learned that, like, just watching other YouTube channels that teach about YouTube, they're just giving knowledge left and right, you know? So I stay a student. That's how I've grown.
You definitely have a unique channel too, which is probably why you've had growth. Like it's a niche market.
Yeah.
And do you do like in-person interviews too with people? Or okay.
Like I sat down with Junior from the Mongols. That's like my biggest interview. It's my favorite one. I went out to Las Vegas to do that. I sat down with T-Rod of the Vagos. Did that in California. I sat down with the Chosen Few. My boy Bad News. I just sat down with one of the Thunder Guards. I actually have an interview with Jason Momoa, but it's on a Zoom. But yeah, I have a Jason Momoa interview. I sat down with the old man Paul Sr. from Orange County Choppers. I went through a growing pain with that. I'm like, all right, this is Paul Sr. He been on TV. Are you familiar with the show, Orange County Choppers?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a great time out there in Florida. His food was really good in the spot. And
he has a restaurant too?
Yeah, he has OCC Roadhouse. It's real nice.
What kind of food, like barbecue? Or?
He had I had gator for the first time.
Gator? How is gator?
Gator is amazing,
I'm scared
bro.
to try it.
It's amazing.
What does it look like? Like on the
it
plate?
looks like chicken.
Okay.
But it's more chewy.
Is
like
it white?
Steak. I would say it's a steak version of like chicken. It's like a chicken if it was steak kind of.
What's the color?
Like chicken. Like it looks like chicken.
So
yeah.
like a white color?
Yeah.
Like a breast kind of?
But they had it like breaded, so it looked like
it was fried.
Like breaded chicken. Yeah. It was fried. It was good. And then I had frog legs. Frog legs was okay. It wasn't as good as the gator, but it was good.
You're ballsy. I don't know if I would do that.
That's like the craziest thing I ever had, and that was right there. And it looked like little stuff like you would have like fried shrimp or fried chicken fingers. It looked like that. So, and it was good. I almost died in there though. I had some sauce that was so hot, I could not breathe, bro. I'm like, this might be it for me right here. But when I sat down with Paul Sr., I had a growing pain because I had audio issues. And I'm like, but this is Paul Sr., he's famous, it's gonna do great. And I put it up and it bombed. And I was upset, you know. Paying the money to go out there, you know, and doing the interview and all that, you learn though, you know, it's like YouTube is a roller coaster ride, you know. You got your whole stuff set up, so you ain't playing no games. But I went out there with the whatever, you know, like the Rode, is it Rode?
GoPro?
Not GoPro, it's the lavalier.
Oh, the wireless mics.
Oh, it sucks. It caught people's plates and stuff like that, so the video didn't. I'm gonna have to do that again in the future and really sit down with him.
You know what I realized about YouTube is that one, it's always the episodes you never expect to pop off.
Yes.
Like if you go into it saying this is gonna go viral, it's not going viral.
I agree.
Unless it's like Andrew Tate or something like that.
I agree.
Other than that, and then the other thing is, YouTube favors the people that are unknown.
Yes.
Like it's not like you see a lot of celebrities starting YouTube channels that are trying to make it from TikTok and they're not really doing well. So
the Jason Momoa interview did not do good as some of the Motorcycle Club content.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like I thought Jason Momoa, I'm going to have 1 million subscribers and that's it. It's over. And it wasn't like that. And then it's crazy because you could sit down with Joe Rogan, have a dope interview, and you're like, yo, I'm going viral. And then you'll put it out and it'll bomb. And then you'll talk about some shit that just happened and it'll go viral. It's so weird, bro.
I mean, Joe Rogan's hacked that code because he has random people on.
Well, Joe Rogan could sit down with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And, you know, like he could sit down with any Cat Williams, you know, like, so, I mean, he got it made, you know. He worked for that though, you know, but he got it made, you know.
Yeah, he was like grinding for years, no views.
Yeah.
Like his episodes are in the thousands now. So think about all the people before they knew Rogan and whatnot. But to sustain that, you can't have celebrities all the time.
Yeah.
You just can't. There's not that many celebrities in the world.
So what I was going to say about the Jason Momoa thing, what I learned is celebrities are not as famous as you think. It's the machine that makes a celebrity poppin'. Like me and you have more influence than like an actual star if you just put our name up there. If you just put their name, it's nothing. It's the machine behind them. Like Jason Momoa is big because Fast and the Furious is going to push it out. Pixar, you know, Disney or whatever, you know, they're the ones that's going to put it out, you know? So that's what makes it bigger, you know? But I learned that from that situation, like, oh, it's the machine behind, you know, whoever it is.
Yeah, I was talking to someone recently where they were like talking about in the advertising space that advertisers are staying away now from these Instagrammers and whatever, these models that have millions of followers because who knows if they're real or fake, whatever.
Yeah.
They want to see how much of a following you can have on YouTube. And there's a big reason why a lot of these models and influencers do not have YouTubes because it's not sustainable for them to do that. You can't do the vlogs and whatnot.
That's why I love YouTube though, because YouTube is like, you can't just be like, look at me, I'm pretty and be popping. You gotta have something to you. Yeah. It keeps you honest, you know? Instagram is truthfully for females that look good. They get a lot of views and push on there. But on YouTube, you gotta get busy. Like, and that's what I love about it. It's the cream rises to the top. Have you had to deal with any like shadow banning and stuff like that though?
Not really. I've just always stayed consistent. I mean, like last month was a slower month with views, but we're still like, my views have all this is the way I look at it. A year ago when I started posting consistently, started the podcast, it took like 48 hours to get 1,000 views. Now it's 48 hours to get 10,000 views. How could I ever complain about that?
Yeah.
You know, like obviously we all love those episodes that do 20,000 views in a day and now, or that blow up, but it's like we've come so far and it's so hard to get.
Yeah.
That, like, when you run the reports, like, I'm ranked like 2,500, top 2,500, you know, channels or whatever.
Nice.
Out of, and you're probably above that because you have more subscribers than me.
How did you, like, figure that out?
If you go to socialblade.com, it tells you it's based on your subscriber count. So I think I'm like 2,400 or something. But yours
that's dope, bro.
Well, yours is way more. You're probably in the top, I'd say probably 1,500.
Yeah, but, like, give it a couple months, you'll be, you know, like that's how it is, you know?
Yeah.
Couple videos, one takes off, boom. You're like, before you know it, you have 4 or 5, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, my YouTube looks great though. How could I complain? It gets 10,000 views. It's so hard to do that on YouTube consistently. It's so hard.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. Like,
that's good, bro. I get spoiled sometimes and I'm like, damn, why this didn't take off? Like, you know?
Yeah, I have some friends that are like, because they see the bigger view numbers, they're like, oh, that episode flopped. And I'm like, I was able to take a regular person that no one's ever heard about and 10,000 people on YouTube viewed it.
That's crazy.
I can't complain. Well, what am I going to complain about? And over time, like all my episodes that were just at 1,000 last year are now 60, 70, 80,000.
Yeah. That's what I love about it as you build the catalog. It's the evergreen content that really gets you there though. Because like what you're doing is all evergreen. Like I got an album that I'm gonna be dropping soon and stuff like that. So as my stock rises, you know, a video we did, I could be out of here and this video, your whole channel will be, you know, and you'll still be making money off of it, you know? That's what's so dope about the evergreen content because what you're doing is not straight up current event. So 10 years from now, you'll still be making money off of us sitting down here, you know?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. 'Cause a lot of the creators that do current events, it might not apply. Like, are people searching that?
So they'll get a lot of views, but evergreen, they're not getting like I'll say for instance, like my interview with Junior, since he's a Mongol and he actually killed the Hell's Angel, he's famous for going to jail for that or whatever. His interview was spicy because he could talk about everything because he did the time for it and everything. So I mean, that video, just that video alone, one sit down, I make like $800 a month off the first part of it, because what I did was I did the Joe Rogan thing. I said, let me try this. So I sat down with him for an hour. I broke it up into 4 different videos and just did like a little intro to them, like, you know, hyping it up. And all of them got so many views. And then I say, you know what? I'm going to drop the full interview too and milk that. And monthly, that interview makes over $600-700 every month, you know, and this one $9 just for one interview. So if you stack up a couple classic interviews, you can make a lot of money, bro. Because it's monthly, it keeps coming, it doesn't go away.
That's crazy. Why did you decide to eventually leave like the whole motorcycle club aspect of your life?
Because of just the politics and the stuff that was going on, it was starting to get nasty. And at the time, I was a nomad. I was in the nomad charter, and my mentor, the one who really like taught me my diamond knowledge, was out the door, and I just didn't like the way everything went down. And the people that took over, we looked at things differently, you know? I don't like to put people down publicly or whatever, but we just saw things differently, you know? So I just felt like, you know what? My business is growing right now. It's time for me to just focus on my business and stuff like that, you know?
You ever miss it? Because it's like a family, like a brotherhood, right?
Yeah, I do. I do miss it sometimes. I have a very close brother that left and went to a very big diamond club, one of the most known clubs. And he's always like, yo, bro, the door's open. And I, you know, because of the show, a lot of people always like, yo, if you ever want to come home, we're here. But it's just, you know, it's like if I'm in this club and then I like go do an interview with this club over here, sometimes they say it's okay, but then sometimes they'll be like, yeah, but this club, you know, we have issues with, we don't really feel it's right or whatever. And this is my business, you know, so I'm not gonna, you know, I'm getting to a point of legacy right now. Like you said before, that's my main thing is legacy. So I'm trying to cement my legacy right now. So I don't got time to like beat to someone else's drum right now, you know, like I just won't do it. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So it's, you know, just show the club the respect and not even join for that matter. Like I've had some clubs say like, listen, as long as you don't wear your cut when you're doing your thing, just do your thing, you know? And I was like, you know, I just don't have the time, bro. I'm so busy trying to build this business, you know?
Was it hard to leave, like exit? Like, is there politics behind leaving?
Not when I left, but it got hard after for the other people because they were upset. But yeah, it wasn't hard. It was pretty easy.
Do you feel like your channel wouldn't have had as much success if you didn't come from that background? Like, do you get more credit and more feet into the door?
As far as what I'm talking about, yeah, because I wouldn't have the knowledge that I did if I didn't live that life. But I mean, if I wasn't in a club, I could have talked about hip hop. I could have talked about WWE. I could have talked about the New York Giants. I truthfully feel that if you have the it factor, you can pick a lane and just you just have. I think it's work ethic, because I think a lot of people fail at YouTube because they just quit. You know, if you keep doing something and you're getting a little bit better each time, there's no way you're not going to succeed. I don't know. Do you feel like that? Like,
I'm with you. I mean,
yeah, right. Like,
I for the longest time, I was intimidated by all these sites.
Yeah.
And then I learned TikTok did that, and I stayed away from YouTube. I just posted the shorts. I'm like, I'm not going to post a long form video until I know 100% what I'm doing, because I didn't want to just shoot in the dark. Yeah. You know, and then I dropped it, and it just grew and grew and grew from there.
No, I would like to ask you this, because you're successful with your channel too. Knowing what you know now, would you have started just doing shorts?
So here's the thing. So shorts are essential to growing your following.
Yeah.
You need the shorts, but you can't just do all shorts. I think it needs a healthy balance.
Yeah, I agree.
At least when I started, like, I got lucky. So like I did like 3 months of shorts. It got me to 3,000 subscribers. Mm-hmm. I think I'd be in a worse position if I started just doing shorts now and it blew me up to 100,000, because that wouldn't have translated to views.
Yeah, you're right.
So there was a good spread out part where I got just a little bit to get me going. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing the long form, and now it grows organically.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of channels that are mostly all shorts, and it doesn't match their video views. Like they'll have 600,000 subscribers, but their views are terrible.
That's the one thing that I've been trying to balance too, is because I get a lot of views on the shorts, and I'm like, I don't want to keep getting short subs. I'm real particular about subs. Like, I don't want no bullshit subscribers. Like, I want people, when you see it, like, I wish there was a metric that showed, like, when they see your video, they'll click on it once in a blue moon. I would just delete you as a subscriber. I'd rather have less subscribers, and it's the people that click right away when they see it than have like a whole bunch of fluff subscribers, because people are so worried about the numbers. I worry about numbers too, but I don't like the fake view stuff, because I see people that got like over 100,000 subscribers, but they can't crack 1,000 on a video, bro. It's obvious that you have fake subscribers, bro.
Yeah.
And anybody with a brain could see that. And they're so lacking of knowledge that they don't even know that. It's like, bro, you don't know that little bit. That's why you suck, you know?
Yeah, you see a lot of podcasters where their subscribers are going crazy, and then I'll always look at a video where like it shows like if all their videos are the same, that's a sign that they're fake. Like the same view count. And then also if you can always tell within the first hour, because the bots don't kick in right away. So like that first hour, if it says 500 views, but they got almost 1 million subscribers, then the next day it's at 20,000. YouTube doesn't work like that. It's like a steady pace. It's not random, you know?
Yeah.
It's easier to predict. So a lot of fake things on that. And you would think YouTube would kind of like X those out because they're so strict, but they don't.
I've had this bot attached to my account where I upload a video and automatically it's like two different accounts that have like an ass or whatever, like a girl's ass. And they're saying something that has nothing to do with it. So I automatically go on it and I report spam, and then I hide user from channel. I don't want one fake subscribe. You know how mad I would be? Because my goal is going past 1 million. So once I hit that 1 million, you know, they do for us, we have plaques. Like, that's another sign too. People will have over 100,000 but no plaque.
Yeah,
because if they
fake.
do the audit, it's fake subs.
Oh yeah, they do the audit. That's why it takes some time.
So I would be mortified, bro, if I hit 1 million subs and then I was off like 20,000 or something because somebody botted me or something like that. So I'll be trying to block them. As soon as I see a spam, I'm trying to block them because I'm working towards a goal, you know? I never thought about that before, but like, imagine you upload a video and then I always pin a comment. You do that too, right? I noticed that.
I pin a comment.
So as soon as I go to pin a comment, there's 2 comments there. How the hell y'all posted it before I pinned the comment and I just posted it up? So they got to like attach to my channel whenever. And I told Team YouTube on Twitter, I was like, yo, somebody like botted my channel. And that shit is serious, bro, because if a bot sees it, they look at it for 1 second, put a little comment, and then they go off. That's bad retention for your channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you have low retention, they show it to less people.
Too bad that they don't give you a plaque for 500K.
They should, right?
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
I know, they should.
But even 250, it should be 255, and then 1 million.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We'll settle for not the 250. You know?
Yeah.
But I think 5 would be fair. It's just such a big leap from 1 to 1 million.
I think that if you get 1, you could get 1 million, though, in my opinion.
Like,
you look at it that way?
Yeah, I think eventually. I mean, I'm growing.
Yeah.
I do like about 10 to 15,000 subs a month, give or take. I mean, I started this year with 200, and now it's March where it's like 225-ish almost. Yeah. So you just continue to grow. It'll get there. My goal for this year, if I could get to 500.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a little bit of a steep goal, but you never know. Anything could happen.
Why not?
You get that 1 month that it just shoots you up, you know?
Yeah.
You just keep grinding. That's all it is to it.
And the dope thing about interviews, you keep sitting down with somebody and they pop off and get, you know, crazy traction. That interview goes up, you know?
Yeah, that's what I realized. Like when I had Chevy Chase on the show.
Chevy Chase?
Yeah, I had Chevy Chase, and his episode was a little slow at the beginning, but now it's over 80,000 views.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
That happened with the Jason Momoa. It didn't have as many as I thought. It had maybe like 60,000. And I interviewed the national president of his club. Jason Momoa is in the Red Rum MC, and his national president, Cliff, solid dude. He's the one who hooked me up with the interview. I did his interview. He rocks, bro. Like, if you want, I could plug you in with him. He does numbers, bro. Like, really? They just opened up. He was out with Jason Momoa in Thailand, and they opened the chapter of Red Rum MC out there. And he's the one I was saying they got an indigenous club, and he used to be an outlaw too. But his interviews 60K easily, and then I sat down with Jason and it was like 60K. I'm like, Like, this is Jason Momoa. Like, what the hell's going on?
I didn't realize Jason was a biker or is a biker.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was just watching the new Fast and Furious on a plane with him a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Or a couple weeks ago. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
He was a great actor in that.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think is your biggest lesson from your whole story that you want people to listen to and to take away from your story? From everything you've gone through and what you have now and what you've been able to build?
So this might sound super crazy, but I believe that the more messed up things you go through, the better your life is going to be. The better your story is, the more alert you are. I don't think that you can be great if you didn't go through anything. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you need to eat that dirt and learn the lessons yourself to actually make it big in this world. And I've noticed that, I know this might sound crazy for people like me and you that have been in some real bad situations, but I believe now that there's no real bad situation. It's just like how you look at it, you know, like, and this is my theory, like your tire goes flat, you know what I mean? You're like, what the fuck? I'm on the way over here. I missed this now. I'm late. But really, maybe the next corner over you would have died or something. That's how I look at it now. So it's like, I think we over exaggerate about things that happen and we think that things are so bad and they're really not. They're like people, like the depression stuff and all that. I think that that's just people wallowing in self-pity, because I tell people you got to focus on the solution, not the problem. And that's the thing with stress. Like if you stressing, you're not thinking about the solution. So you're going to lose. How are you going to come up with a solution if you're just like, oh my God. And I did that my whole life, you know, that would be my biggest lesson to anybody is like when something bad happens, supposedly just say, all right, why did this happen? You know what I mean? And then you navigate around that. Cause sometimes it's like you're going in the wrong direction and this situation that happened to you is pointing you in the right direction. But if it keeps happening, this bad thing keeps happening, it means you're resisting your path. That's what I believe.
Yeah, it's redirection. I mean, now whenever something happens, I'm just like, well, that's what the way it's supposed to be. I'm not going to stress over it. That's what life wants me to do. And you just roll with that, you know?
Yeah.
And when you look at it, the things that are so bad, you feel like in the moment end up not being that bad.
Yeah. I had a situation where I was like, I had that awakening. I crashed out. I was like spending money on the jewelry and the Rolex and like spending all this money. And then I got demonetized for 3 months.
3 months?
Now I'm like, 3 months.
Wow, what'd you do?
What I did was I used YouTube like Instagram. I started posting stuff, shorts, and one of them went viral. And I guess they looked at it like, you're robbing us because basically you're getting paid for this. So that's one thing I would say to people that are new to new to YouTube, don't use it like Instagram. You have to post your own original content because they don't give you a warning. They just demonetize you for that because they say
content originality or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Copyright. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even a copyright. It was just that, honestly, it was just that the clip went viral. And they would have had to pay me like a couple $1,000s because it got like 40 million views or something.
Holy shit.
It was a biker found a baby in a car, but it was a setup. It was like his son or something like that. But the thing went viral, so I guess they got pissed off. Like, you know, we're not going to pay you a couple $1,000. But I think they should have just demonetized the video, not the whole fucking channel, you know?
And you appealed it and you got it rejected?
Yeah, it was...
That sucks.
But that happened, and then... I went through a rough period financially, you know. I was like, and I other people would like fall apart and all that. And I realized, you know what? I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I started realizing when I started making a lot of money, I was like, I would have like, you know what? I'm going to take this $1,000 and I'm going to buy hats and I'm going to buy shirts and I'm going to sell this merch. And I started like being a consumer, buying, you know, $500 hoodie, this chain, that jewelry. And then I started realizing like I became a consumer. And I always spoke against that, being like wearing whatever everybody else is wearing. Like my biggest thing is I hate normie behavior. Like I hate trying to be like everybody else. And I started to like wear the designer stuff and spend all this money. And it humbled me, that situation happening. It made me realize like you can't just keep spending like this on other stuff. Go back to who you are. So now I'm like, looking at new stuff. New merch I'm going to put out and stuff like that. And that's something that I guess that's a lesson that we all got to learn. But I never had shit growing up. I grew up broke, like I didn't have name brand sneakers until I was in 8th grade, bro.
Wow.
8th grade, bro. They were Fila's, black and purple. And I remember I used to get gigged on every day, bro. Like, my sword was so sharp, I'll make fun of your appearance, everything. Like, I was nasty with it because I had to be, because if not, I would have just been crying in the corner because my shoes was just horrible, It got so bad, bro. We were going to Payless. This is the Payless days. And me and my sister would be like, yo, I'm going to get the fake Jordans. I'm going to get the fake whatever. Like, it was that bad, bro. I remember one time, like, my sister asked for these Atonics. They were in like a... They were like in a bin, like a rack, like the cheap rack, $20, $19.99. And she was like, I want those Etonics. And my mother would not get it. $20 sneakers, bro. That's how we had to get like $8 sneakers or something. That's how poor we were in the Bronx at that time. Like, it was crazy. I don't know if it was poor or just cheap, but money was worth way more back then too, But yeah, we didn't have anything. So once you get a little and you start, like, you just want to start buying stuff and become a consumer. And I learned I got to stop doing that. I got to like focus on business and making more money, not just the flash and stuff like that.
Yeah, the material things don't matter.
It's true.
It's about the people you're surrounded yourself with, your passions, your purpose. And, as long as you could, like, I'm happy now with like my apartment and renting an apartment and just what I do now. I don't wear like fancy clothes or anything. And I just sit here and I work and, I'm happy with that. I got my air fryer. I fry up some chicken and that's good. That works for me.
And the funny thing is always the person that doesn't have all the flash that has all the money in the bank.
Well, not me. I owe restitution, but I'll get there.
What, for the case?
Yeah, for my case. I'll get there though. I pay $1,000 a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a mortgage, But I'm, it'll all happen. I'm on the right path. I got a good plan.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of bad financial decisions in my past, so now I'm fine. I've learned from all that.
Yeah.
And it won't take too long to fix.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much, man.
Definitely,
for coming on the show. Awesome interview, awesome conversation. Really glad we got to do this.
Yeah, definitely.
And if there's anything I could ever do for you, just let me know.
Same here. We're locked in.
Definitely. With Ian Bick.